course, of course.
Tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftop.
Did you hear that? Oh my God. Oh, honestly, Kia ora and welcome. My name's Zoe Stevie and I'm your vocal coach for today. And I am so excited because you might know the song Impossible, but you might not know that it was actually written and originally performed by an amazing singer called Shontelle. Now, this song is really freaking hard to sing, but it does speak to so many people, and that's why it's been covered so many times. And it was, I suppose, most recently made extremely famous by the amazing singer James Arthur. Actually, I think he won Britain's Got Talent with this song. So there's a reason why we all love the song. Let's just go back to the beginning though. Take a look at what is Shontelle up to with her vocal technique. How is she creating these sounds? And how on earth can you sing the song Impossible? I'm going to take a breath because I'm getting very, very excited. Hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about how your favorite artists are creating these sounds so that you can learn from them. I love geeking out about vocal technique. And if you don't already know, I've been a vocal coach for, I think, coming up 18 years, and I absolutely love it. So I'd love to see you around here more often. Let's just go back to it. Back to the start.
This is Saturday Night Online Live with Romeo.
Ooh, impossible. Yeah. I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did.
Wow. This audio engineer, where's that bit of reverb? This is a very, what we call dry vocal. So a little bit of reverb just gives us that tiny bit of warmth. But what's going to be happening here is we can hear exactly what's going on with Shontelle's singing. So we've got this, I remember years ago. She's in the chest voice register. We've got thicker vocal folds lower down in the range. Where are we? So I remember years ago. I don't have perfect pitch. That was actually just a fluke. So we've got the I remember years ago. We're going down to the A flat. Actually, I don't know what this key is, but we'll call it the A flat 3 there. Years ago. We've got sort of like a brightness in the tone. Let's just go back on that so you can really hear this brightness. And we'll talk about how the larynx position plays in with that.
Ooh, impossible. Yeah. I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did. You were strong and I was not.
So now the mouth position plays a huge role in the brightness of the tone. And honestly, brightness is very subjective, okay? Like I would call this a slightly, like a brighter sound, but we know that the song is also going to go further up. So what we don't want to do is to allow the larynx to go too low in the beginning. Otherwise, it sounds like two different people are singing the song. So firstly, she's got a wider, I remember years ago. A little bit of a smile is going to brighten the tone. So if I'm widening, I remember, as opposed to, I remember years ago. Now, I'm not saying that we want to sing like we've got fish lips, but just that aperture of the mouth shape is going to make a huge difference in the color. We've also got probably a mid to high larynx position. I remember years ago, Mama done and I would take. Someone told me I would take. I would take. Oh, I said this wasn't very low, but it goes actually down to the E flat 3, which is the E flat below minor. I would take. That is very, very low for a lot of singers. If we take the larynx to I would take is one option. I would take, to not allow the larynx to go down too low in that sense, so that we're matching the sounds a little bit more.
I did. You were strong and I was not. My illusion, my mistake. I was careless, I forgot. I did.
You also hear she got quite quiet on that sound. And this is what I love. We want inconsistent vocalization in order to create a consistent sound. We didn't go like, Shontelle, why'd you get so low there? It actually sounded like it was, part of the one voice. And that's just what happens. When we go lower, much, much lower in our chest voice register, we want to, why am I starting to sound like I'm American? Lower. Probably because I'm listening to this. We wanting to open up the vocal folds slightly. I would take to allow a little bit of breath to come through the sound.
And now, when all is done, there is nothing to say. You have gone this weaponless lay. You have won, you can go ahead, tell them all I know.
This is where so many singers get really fucked up in this midsection of the song, because it's basically sitting slap bang over the passagio of most female voices. Oh no. So what we've got there, the passagio, okay, like rewinds. I get so excited and then my brain gets faster than my mouth. So the passagio is actually the area between the chest voice and the head voice. And it's generally where we need to, it basically means passage, okay, in Italian. And what ends up happening is we need to make changes to the sound in order to get up to that higher register. Whether we're going into our head voice, chest voice, or even if we're going into a belt, we need to make adjustments to the sound and to the pressure as we're going higher up. Now, I want you to watch the way that she adjusts her body in this section, because that makes a huge difference to the passagio.
Told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did. You were strong and I was not. My illusion, my mistake. I was careless, I forgot. I did.
Just have to point out, because a lot of singers come into the studio and they're like, oh, why can't I sound like this? We also have to say that I always say the first language that we are speaking and our natural setup of our accents makes a huge difference to the setup of our, I don't say that, it does, okay? The accent and our first languages make a massive difference to the way that our tongue, larynx, and also kind of our mouth shapes in this position. I was careless, I forgot. So in her American accent, I forgot. We've got a front, like we've got a tongue position coming forward, and we've got that like brightness to the sound. Now, I'm not making fun of Shontelle, but when we've got I forgot, we've immediately got a high tongue and a high larynx position, which makes this sound within the chest voice register a lot easier. So actually, if you're not from America or you don't speak with an American accent, just give it a go and like try and speak with like that accent and go, I'm not very good at the American accent. Yeah, I forgot. Try and make that sound. And I always say to my students, like, oh my God, imagine like you're from Sweet Valley High. I love that show. I used to love that show. And I love that accent because it gets the larynx high, tongue high, and it really helps for vocal fold contact.
Illusion, mistake. I was careless, I forgot I did. And now, when all is done, there is nothing to say. You have gone this weaponless lay. You have won, you can go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftop.
Of course. She wrote the song. She's going to show us that we don't need to belt the shit out of this section of the song, okay? Because we're letting the vocal folds do the work for us. Thicker vocal folds higher in the range are immediately going to sound louder. So we get done, effortlessly. So we've got that cry going on, high tongue, high larynx position, thicker vocal. Go and tell them all I know. Now where are we? So tell them all I know now. Up on the B flat 4, which sits usually right slap bang in the middle of the passagio. Oh, did you notice though she sat up a little bit taller as she went, I'm a dancer effortlessly. She almost like leaned back a little bit. Sometimes we search for tension as singers in different ways, and actually just sitting up taller can help us to support the sound as we're going up. Not the biggest fan of the word support. We'll talk about that later.
Careless, I forgot I did. And now, when all is done, there is nothing to say. You have gone this weaponless lay. You have won, you can go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftop, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell
got a very similar sound here. We're going to go back on that and listen to the whole thing. But the shouting from the skylines. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. What really gets people, in a tiz in this song is that it basically, it goes ba-da-ba-da-ba. When we're circling around that A flat, B flat, C, it's the sustaining of that sound up there. You notice that she's lifted her chin ever so slightly. She's sitting up taller, and she's actually bringing the microphone up to up to her mouth. This is another way that we're talking about this idea of support. We're making sure that we're getting all of the parts kind of aligned, because if we were to take the head neck down, or we were to let the hands go and sit like this, which we see with some singers lower in their ranges, we wouldn't have the stability that's needed for the muscles. But also, I don't know what time this is, right? Oh, this is Saturday Night Live, yeah? This could be recorded at any point, I don't actually know. And whether that's late or whether that's early. A singer can be tired at night and in the morning.
Skyline, all we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. All my scars are open. Tell them what I hope would be impossible. Yeah, impossible.
I love that. I love that she left out. I think she left out the second possible. I think in the recording there's like overlapping of the impossibles. Please, when you're singing songs, don't necessarily add in all of the recorded versions that you're hearing, like on the radio or wherever you listen to your music. Go and listen to the artists when they're actually performing live, because they'll be doing more of an achievable version of their song. Sometimes the background vocals really overlap, and we actually just have to leave some of them out. Oh, excuse me, I'm extremely uncomfortable. It's fucking hot today. Jesus. Well, it feels hot. It's only 30 degrees. Jesus. No aircon. Oh, it's getting there. Anyway, whatever. Sorry. Let's go back on that.
Tell them what I hope would be impossible. Yeah, impossible.
So we got impossible. She's gone to an vowel. We can also see that the jaw is quite relaxed. Now, when we're talking about a professional singer, that's actually what we end up working towards. We want to get rid of as much extra effort within the body, extra effort within the jaw as possible. And while I bang on quite a lot of my videos about the need for tongue tension in some situations, we don't want the jaw to be tense. The jaw, actually, there is a part, a muscle from the tongue called the styloglossus, and I only know that because I was literally teaching in a workshop yesterday inside the Vocal Academy. Otherwise, I'm not that greatest at remembering all of the muscles. Anyway, the styloglossus goes from the side of the tongue into the jaw. So what ends up happening is a lot of the time we think that the jaw needs to move with the tongue, and likewise when we tense the tongue, sometimes the jaw wants to move in on the action because it's a bigger muscle and wants to help out, go I'm here for you, tongue. No, we don't want the jaw to join in. And that's exactly why with my singing students, I actually make sure that we've got lots of isolation exercises for the tongue and the jaw, so that we're making sure that we're strengthening the tongue away from the movement of the jaw. It's a little bit like doing the patting the head and rubbing the tummy at the same time. It's more of a mental work. And that's why I've got particular workout videos for the students inside the Vocal Academy. But if you're looking to improve your vocal technique, I'd love to see you inside the Vocal Academy. You can sign up for a call to discuss your vocal goals with me. I'd love to meet you. I love chatting shit about vocal technique.
Impossible. Falling out of love is hard. Falling for betrayal is worse. Broken trust and broken hearts. I know. And thinking all you need is there. Building faith.
what sometimes happens when singers come off a higher, louder chorus and they come down, we need to be able to find that placement again of that second verse. This is exactly what Shontelle's done, obviously, because she's a professional singer. But you go, she's almost added in a little bit more twang there. So I'm really hearing that, and I'm not making fun of Shontelle, it's just the twang. And what the fuck am I doing with these like crab hands? So twang is a tightening of the area above the vocal folds. And we've got that, then what we're actually doing is we're making the space smaller in order to allow the resonance. It's all about resonance. Think about it like when you're gardening. I'm a very lazy gardener, so I put my finger on top of the hose to make sure that the water goes further. Okay, same thing with our singing. If we tighten the area above the larynx, I'm actually going to make it so that my sound is louder, much like the water on my hose pipe. There's a very easy explanation for it, but it's a little bit more challenging than that. So she's increased the twang there to make this volume louder for herself.
Impossible. Falling out of love is hard. Falling for betrayal is worse. Broken trust and broken hearts. I know.
You hear that when she's a broken heart and broken trust. I know. Beauty about twang is it's immediately going to make our sound louder, and we actually don't need to do anything at the level of the vocal folds because it happens above. So it's like it gives us cash in the bank in terms of volume without actually trying very hard.
Thinking all you need is there, building faith on love and words, empty promises, but where I know, and now when all is done, there is nothing to say. And if you're done with embarrassing me on your own, just go ahead, tell them all I know now.
So sometimes, look, we know professional singers can sit down and sing. It's not a problem. But you can see there, she's like, tell them all I know now. It's not where we're at in the song. I've forgotten the lyrics. I need the sheet music. Anyway, so you can see that she's really sitting up tall to really feel the tension within the body, because when the body is working with our voices, it's much, much easier for us. So, done to know if it effortlessly, I'm absolutely destroying the song. So we're going up high, 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 high. Can even see the extraneous tension calming out and that arm going to the side there.
And if you're done with embarrassing me on your own, just go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftop, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy in my heart.
This is a hard song to sing. It's a hard song. Tell them I was happy. When we're right up there on that, and look, even listen, my voice is going up here. When we're right up there on that A flat, and then the higher section of the chest voice register, I would almost say that this is actually speech quality taken up further in the range. Now, speech quality is a little bit more of a Estel voice training term that we use to determine essentially thicker vocal folds going higher up in the range. So essentially we call that a chest voice sound. May my Estel colleagues shoot me down for that, because it's probably, maybe everyone has a different version of what fucking chest voice is, yeah? But that's what I like to call chest voice, is essentially speech quality or thicker vocal folds taken further up in the range. And we can have different variations of these sound, but it's not becoming a really loud sound, okay? We're not getting that, like, for example, we looked at Whitney the other week. We're not getting that sort of like, impossible. We're not getting that sort of like that meaty chest voice sound up there, or even going into the belt. I think that she's really on that, almost like a Jessie J-esque kind of sound. High larynx, high tongue, thicker vocal folds.
On the skyline, all we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. Is what I hope would be impossible.
That's hard. Possible. We're up on the C5 there. Impossible, impossible. When we're up there, either in the chest voice or even when we're belting, we essentially want to set up the scaffolding of the sound to then come down. And that's exactly what she's doing. Impossible, impossible. And I really like it. Actually, the singing teacher that I've been working with recently to retrain after my tongue tie release, she's been talking about, and I sort of hadn't really thought about this in this idea, but this idea of that the placement of the sound is going backwards and forwards and staying along the same horizontal plane, or you could even do this one, rather than thinking of going up and down. And that's really helped me with thinking about the sound. So impossible, so that it feels like the sound is moving along the same feeling rather than it going higher and down. Let me know down in the comments if that actually helps you. It's really helped me with my higher chest voice register. I'm relearning where my tongue position needs to be for some of these sounds. And it's a lot further forward than it was for my before my tongue tie release.
Can y'all clap for me? Yeah. Clap. Clap. Yeah. Ooh, impossible.
Oh, that was interesting. Did you hear her speak? And then let's go back on that. She just spoke a little bit and then she went back to singing.
Oh. Can y'all clap for me? Yeah. Clap. Clap. Yeah. Ooh, impossible.
Just even there, I absolutely love that. That's why I always get students to speak in their first languages. Not saying that English is not her first language. I'm just saying that this is why, because the setup of our spoken voice, it can sometimes be very different to where we sing. That's not a problem. It's just whether someone wants that or not and how they identify with their own voice. And I'm not meaning that in sort of like a woo-woo sense of anything else other than, does this feel like a reflection of you as a singer? And that's so important to me, that I want all singers to feel like, if this is what Shontelle feels like is her true voice and like her version of the voice that she wants to bring forward, she identifies with that sound to go, yes, that's me. And I feel like when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, I love the sound of that voice. Like, that's what I want for everybody. And whether that sounds different to your spoken voice or not, then that's totally up to you as an individual artist. So if you want to find your true voice and you're like, Zoe, I really need some help to find, like, where does my voice sit? I'm actually running my very first live Find Your True Voice masterclass series or course. Haven't quite figured out what I'm going to call it, but it is going to be a 3-day live training with me. And if you want to join me, then you can sign up in the description below, because this is going to be the only time that I'm running this course outside of my online singing school, the Vocal Academy. So I would love to see you there. You can check out the link in the description below to sign up, because we're going to be talking about the difference between the speaking voice and the singing voice and how we can match those two up if you want, or how do you get in and out of those two.
Impossible. Yeah. Help me sing it. I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did tell them all I know. Yeah, I said shout it from the rooftop, and all we had is.
So this is very interesting. Actually, we're hearing every now and again a little bit of like a scratch or a catch coming in. And honestly, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anybody, but I have heard in a couple of other recordings of Shontelle, a little bit of that crackle. Now, sometimes with that crackle, and I have singers that come into the studio and like, Zoe, I love it. I want it to be there. We know also, for example, like Sienna Spiro has nodules. Look, again, no judgment whatsoever, but in my studio, I just want to make sure that the singer is aware of what's going on and what is happening within the voice. So this would be quite a standard setup for someone who did have nodules or did have some form of vocal injury. Higher larynx, higher tongue helps to get the pressure a little bit higher in the sound with that higher larynx position, because sometimes with a thicker vocal fold contact or a slightly more relaxed foot, and also there's because there's more pressure behind the vocal fold contact. Because sometimes with a more relaxed vocal fold contact, we end up having that even soft nodules, whatever, or vocal fold injuries actually end up coming out as being more present. We saw that in the Sienna Sparrow video really recently. So again, not saying that anyone has anything. I'm just hearing that little telltale crack. Now, what I'm looking for in a singer is I want to make sure that you can have an affected sound and a non-affected sound. So we're going from a clean sound to maybe a non-clean sound, which I'm currently working on at the moment. These are like little crackles and things that only happen when I've got a little bit of phlegm on my vocal folds. Let's just watch that again.
Impossible. Yeah. Help me sing it. I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did tell them all I know. Yeah.
You hear there was like a little second crackle. Tell them all I know. It was like a little extra buzzing within the vocal fold. And so that's what makes my little vocal coach ears go like, what is going on there? Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anyone. That is not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to say, if you notice that within your own voice, I would encourage you to see if you can create a clean siren, because that is one of the best litmus tests to vocal, like to double check on the vocal fold closure, because often people are not aware of these limitations within their voice and they think that it's something to do with them, even though they're practicing, but not actually getting any better. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to educate you on these sorts of sounds.
Shouted from the rooftop, and all we had is gone now. Hey, tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. Is what I hope would be impossible.
Shontelle's done a really beautiful version of, this is obviously the song, right? But she's done a really great job in the song. She's not actually going any higher than that C. And I'm not saying that we bloody well have to. I'm so sick of hearing singers. I mean, look, and I love a good scream. I love a good riff, and I am like a high soprano. So like I'm all about going as high as my voice will go. But I love this, that she hasn't gone above that C5. We don't know why. I'm fairly certain she can fucking hit the sky with her voice. Singing is not always about doing these crazy vocal acrobatics all the time. And this is a perfect example. Impossible. That's enough acrobatics to get the vocal fold closure, the breath pressure, and to make sure that we've got the vowel and the scaffolding set up so that all of the sounds in tune. That's fucking hard enough.
Would be impossible.
We're noticing that she's taking this really she's taking these really, really tiny short breaths. I actually taught a masterclass all about, she's not belting in this point, but she is higher chest voice, is quite similar in the breath and the way that we take breaths for belting, for example. I taught a live belting class this week, actually. Oh, was it that? It was last week. Get my weeks muddled up. And one of the things that really always blows people's minds when I'm teaching belting is that they're like, Zoe, but I must have to take like tons of breath in. Absolutely fucking not. Like, I want you to take as little breath as possible in, because that way you're going to have more space in order to allow the pressure to build within the thoracic cavity, so essentially within your chest, because what we want is a higher subglottic pressure. And what happens is when we fill the lungs too much, we end up already creating quite a lot of pressure against the vocal folds, and we need to be able to pressurize the chamber with the external, with the muscles around the ribs and between the ribs, and also the abdominals. And if we don't have space to squeeze the air to squeeze the air to pressurize the chamber, then it's just end up going to be spilling out. I usually do this with a drink bottle, but I don't have a drink bottle right there. I like kind of got rid of plastic with it out of my life, and much to the detriment of doing this exercise with people. But if you can imagine, we've got a plastic bottle and I've filled it up right to the top. Well, just use my cup. So I filled a plastic bottle right to the top, and then I go to put the lid on, and it's a bit shitty plastic. You go to put the lid on and it kind of spills everywhere. Think about that with your voice. But if I fill up my plastic bottle sort of to about there or even less, I can just really easily manipulate and move the bottle around. So it's the same thing with the subglottic pressure when we're talking about going with a chest voice. That's actually something that we will go into within my masterclass series, because I think the breath is extremely important when it comes to getting an appropriate level of chest voice and vocal fold contact. So honestly, if you want to work on your chest voice, then join me. I cannot wait. I'm like so excited. Fuck these like pre-recorded things. Like I want to get with, I want to see you, I want to hear you, I want to give you feedback on your voice. So I'll see you in the masterclass down below.
Remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did.
Thank you guys.
Did you hear that? Thank you guys. Often, this is also another and again, Shontelle is a professional singer. She can, as I said before, she can do whatever the hell she wants with her own voice, okay? What often happens, though, with singers is they come into the studio and they're like, Zoe, I want more resonance. I want more, like, meat in the sound. Not meat in the sound. They're like, I want more resonance. I want more power. I want that, like, ooh, sort of sound. And then they go, I remember years ago, with a high larynx, high tongue, and we're using all of these abilities to brighten the sound and brightening the sound. The problem is with brightening the sound is that we actually end up losing some of those lower frequencies within the note. So if we're wanting to have a fuller sound, we need the full spectrum of frequencies, and the lower ones, those bass frequencies, are some of the most important when it comes to creating that sound. Higher frequencies will make the sound brighter. Those lower frequencies will make the sound a little bit darker and make it sort of sound fuller and fatter. And so that comes through not having maybe such a high larynx position, maybe playing around with the tongue position and vocal fold closure, but also taking out a little bit of that twang. And that's something that I do find within, I actually don't know if Shontelle, is she English or is she American? I'm not sure. She was singing in an American accent anyway. But what often happens is sometimes I said that the natural or the first language accent can help us. Sometimes our first language accent can actually hinder us in these situations, because if we're looking for a darker tone and we speak up here, like I was saying about the Sweet Valley High, then that our natural accent when we're speaking on pitch will already be up here, and we want to have some of those lower frequencies come in. So that's what we're going to be talking about as well within the masterclass series. I just want you to be aware of like what we're going to be going into, but I will see you there. Shontelle, my God. Oh, honestly, absolutely no one asked for that song. Absolutely not a soul. But I just find that I just have to educate you, to be honest. And that's my job, education, and also introducing you to like artists of like, they're incredible. They're incredible. Anyway, I loved that. I've got nothing else to say. I'm going to put something. I've never looked at Shontelle on the channel, and it's an absolute shame. So I'm going to put up something that's very, very similar so you can continue learning. Just remember, anyone can learn to sing. It's about like manipulating all these fabulous things. Before I choke on my own saliva. I've got a pinned comment down there. There's so many links, and I know salespeople would be like, I've got a pinned comment down there. I'm so excited. I have a whole like new members area for the channel. I'll see you in there. We got live Q&As. I'm going to be doing live stream analyses that won't end up on the channel, and you can watch the entire channel completely ad-free. We're in the process of taking all of my YouTube content and putting it over onto our membership platform for you. You can sign up using the description below. I would love to see you there. Lots of Q&As. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be talking all about vocal technique, as well as an option for open coaching as well if you're wanting to work on your singing voice or come and experience what it's like to work with me. So anyway, I put that right at the end of the video, but whatever. If you've watched this, I'll see you there. Mwah. Happy singing. Ka kite anō.